I think that was the first time where I got a chance to feel like a sniper, where you're using air assets, precision rifle. And prior to that, I was shooting guys in the tree line. We were being ambushed again. And an assault team went up to this tree line. And I'll never forget looking through the scope. They had to walk across this field. Me and my spotter, sniper, were tucked into another wood line. And there's a couple 100 meters or so to the next tree line. Some guys had squirted off the objective and had hunkered down and was setting up an ambush point in the wood line. ISR fed us that information, and the assault team started to press them. And they have a dog with them. The dog's barking. He's honing in on something in the wood line. And I see these like flashes. I'm like, oh shit, those are eyeballs, blinking in the tree line. I don't have a clear shot. Nothing's really happening. And then you just see sparks erupt from the tree line, and Long goes down, Keith goes down. Our dog starts running weird, shooting through the tree line and making a circle. I'm like, what is going on? I start shooting. Then I see Long, one of the team leaders, and he's picking up Keith, and we hear man down, he's shot in the head and all this stuff, right? And shit. I'm like, what the fuck? Or what, excuse me. And I start shooting guys in a tree line, but I can't really see where the bodies are. I could see flashes of light. I know I hit one guy. After that, my spotter, he's calling guys out. I don't know what happened if I'm hitting anybody after that. I'm laying down more so like suppressive fire as they're dragging their guys back. The dog is just running weird. He finally comes back to his dog handler. He gets picked up. The dog is shot. He took around in his side. Keith took around through his night vision, and Long took around through his helmet. We called up a Carl Gustav. He puts, I think it was flechette rounds, into the tree line.
A what round?
Flechette.
I've never even heard of that.
It's like it's the big ordnance, but when it explodes, it sends out like shrapnel, like razor
fragmentation?
blades. Yeah, something like that. I was not a Gustav guy, but I'm pretty sure it was called flechette rounds. And it would shoot out these like shrapnel into the tree line. And he shot that. It didn't really do much or anything that we could see. I think it hit low. And that's when we called in the AC-130. At first, the rounds were hitting they were to the right and behind the guys, off quite a distance. So I call up and I'm like, hey, I say, left 75 plus 50. Or I'm giving calls like that to bracket the rounds. Once I saw the rounds hitting where the ambush was coming from, where I knew the guys were at, in this sector of the tree line, fire for effect. And they just started raining danger close, like 105s down. Then I remember closing the distance after the rounds were expended, walking across the field, and smoke is rising up. It looks like something out of a movie. And I'll never forget this guy. I think he was in shock or something, but he's walking. I don't know where he came from, but he's walking through this smoke. And I had changed mags by this point. I lined up with him. And he turns to go do his thing. I don't know if he was out of it or what, but he's about to shoot, I perceive, or what. I don't know what he was going to do, but he was just dazed. And he's got his AK with the wrapped up tape around it. And he turns, and I remember plucking him, but it felt like my gun didn't go off or nothing ejected. And I thought I had like a squib round. I fired, an assault team lights this guy up. So I'm stuck looking at empty out, I take my mag out, looking at what's going on, trying to figure out if I have a squib or whatever. My gun's jacked up. I had no idea that I was shooting subsonic. I had pulled the wrong mag, so I shot subsonic at him. And with the subsonic, you have to rechamber around each time, and it's not enough blowback to chamber the next round. I had no idea I was doing that. Finally figured it out, changed out my mag, and we carried on from that mission. But I remember going into the tree line, seeing body parts. And the first thing I came across was a hand. And it looked like, here again, my mind does a weird trick where I say Mickey Mouse glove. Like the swollen Mickey Mouse hand glove. It looked like that. Then I saw the arm, legs, like butt cheek, I think. Heads popped off. And weird stuff like that. So we were told by our commander, we have to figure out how many guys for our AAR or after action report and call it up how many EKIA. So we're putting the bodies together essentially to see how many bodies there were. And it got called off pretty quick after, guys are gagging and it's like, dude.
You guys were picking up limbs
Yeah.
and piecing bodies together
Yeah.
for an after actions report?
Yeah. Oh yeah. To see how many guys that we killed. And we called it off early on. Like after 2 or 3 bodies, the ground force commander looks at me, says, Sierra, my call sign. And how many guys were in here? I'm like 5. I know for a fact 5. So we left it at 5. I'm pretty sure it was.
Is that like standard SOP? Have you done that before?
Yeah. I mean, not to that degree. We've done missions where
Like, what's wrong with just an
BDAs.
estimation? Like, I don't know, five bodies.
I don't know. We've done BDA's battle damage assessments where, you have a big Hellfire missile or something we had one in Iraq. Hellfire missile gets called in on a Hilux vehicle, blows up. We drive out to do a battle damage assessment and examine the bodies, take pictures, and see how many guys that we, took out. But that was, not routine, but it happened often.
Damn.
Where, if we weren't cutting off fingers, but that was not my job. I've seen the assault guys do it, but taking teeth. We had a suicide bomber working with the FBI, and suicide bomber blows himself up in the back of a pickup truck as we're approaching him. I remember seeing one of the assault team leaders. I didn't like him, so I'm just going to call him M. He lifts up, he flies back through the air, and like something out of a movie, we get hit with the blast, and luckily none of us got injured or hurt, but I remember hearing his body parts falling, and his head was sitting in the back of on the ground near the back of the truck, and the FBI guy put it up there, and we pulled some teeth using our Gerber knife and stuff like that. It was routine for us to do that, like cutting off our fingers and taking it to a compound that was not ours. I'm by one of those agency, places. And that was my first experience in Marja. And it was like that every mission in Marja, all the way until we were about to do our final mission, our push in Marja before the Marines came through that invasion. And our mission was to have 2 platoons. One was going to be on the east, one was going to be on the west. We were going to close in and kill everybody outside at night deemed a threat. And luckily that got called off because I was sure we were going to have casualties. Luckily it got called off, and we ended up doing a mission out in Kandahar. And we got hit by the Afghan police out there, and that was a hell of a ride. But Marja was like that. And some days I would kill 1 guy, some days I'd kill 5, 6 guys, but Marja was all like that. I didn't find out until I got home. I was watching the news in my apartment with my wife, and I saw the Marines were going into Marja, and that's when it all made sense of like what we were doing there, of like, we were supposed to, our whole job was to kill as many enemy fighters as we possibly could in Marja before the Marines got there. And we killed that deployment like over 1,000 guys total.
You guys killed over 1,000 enemy combatants?
Yes. Oh yeah. My wife was there during the ceremony when they announced it. When we got our awards, I got 2 awards from that deployment. One was a Valorous. The one where I dropped the bombs was the Valorous Award. Then I have some joint commendation medals from that deployment, but we smoked a lot of people on that deployment, a lot.
Wow.
Yeah.
1,000?
Not all bullets, though. It was a lot of bombs being dropped, and we were killing people every night, though, every night. The ground guys, we were killing, the entire platoon, you could get, 9, 15, 20 guys in a night, and that was a good night. But most of it was a lot of 500-pound bombs, a lot of ordnance, a lot of 105s and 30 mics, and Yeah, a lot of that.
Let's go back to that first mission.
Hmm.
It sounds like 2 Rangers were killed that night.
Oh, no. Cool story. Keith, when he got shot through his nods, the bullet did not penetrate all the way through and deflected, so he ended up not getting hit. That's the second Ranger I knew who got shot in the head. Other guy who got shot in his nods, he was climbing up on a rooftop on a ladder, a sniper. He got shot through his nods, but I think the bullet went into his brain. It didn't kill him. He fell off the ladder, and I remember him chunking a grenade up there to kill the guy that shot him in the head. And he killed that guy. And Keith is the other guy that I knew who got shot through his nods and the bullet didn't kill him. But when we got back, I remember Keith from when he first came in. I'm like, dude, what did that look like? He's like, bro, I thought it was a beach ball coming at me. I'm like, you could see the bullet? Did you see trace? As a sniper, I'm like, when you're sniping, you can see the trace of the bullet. I wanted to know if he could see the back end of the trace, and he didn't know what I was talking about. But he said he thought it was a beach ball. Someone threw a beach ball at him, and it got big, and he was knocked down after that. Long got shot in his helmet, and he was fine too. The dog survived. We had to carry him out. And I remember the ambush and walking through the water, this ravine, and the dog handler, we patched him up, and he's carrying his dog, Chico, on his shoulder, and us getting ambushed. And that was the closest one where I shot someone, 20 feet away. It was an older gentleman who was, I guess he felt that Allah or whoever was on his side, and he wanted to just run through us for whatever reason. And we got the call to drop him. He didn't want to stop. We gave him commands. I remember shouting at him in Pashto and putting my red laser on him and encircling his chest with it, putting around at his feet, putting around next to him, and he is just focused on coming at us. And I was like, damn, he was wearing all white, never forget it. And I looked through my scope and I put the scope on, it looked like a button on his shirt or a pattern. And I pulled the trigger, it was just all white. I didn't see body parts or anything, it was just an all white, what he was wearing, the garment. And shot, and I looked, and then he was down. And I was like, wow, I never shot someone that close before.